so much of power that we can change the way that we have, obviously, because we've written and come down, and changing here would mean changing a lot of other lives connected to us. It's not like a singularity, right?
Yeah, yes.
So, you know, are we so powerful that we can actually create those shifts? And can it be seen when you do a chart reading that this person has bypassed this particular issue?
Yeah, so if you see from a Vedic context, there are different types of karma. The word karma means actions. Literally, it means actions. But when we say karma on a contextual sense, it does not only mean our actions, it also means our reactions. Like in India, they will say, "Na iske to karam kharab hai iske." So what they literally mean is, he's getting the reactions of his bad deeds, basically, right? That is
Hmm.
what they mean, basically. Or another word which is used interchangeably with karma, or good karma, sometimes is bhagya. They say, na, iska to bhagya acha hai, bahut bhagyawan hai ye. They say like
Hmm.
this, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
That's true on a generic sense, but if you see from a technical perspective, the word karma literally means like our actions, our own actions, not only just our actions, it shows our own individual actions and also collective karma, which is like karma of all the people, basically.
Right.
So now within karma also there are like different types of karma. So one karma is the Sanchit Karma. Sanchit Karma is like all the karma that we have within us from millions and millions of lifetimes that we are in this material world. So that is like our sum total of all the karma that we have accumulated. That is what is Sanchit Karma. And as in Hindi also they say, no, this is like Sanchit Dhan, Sanchit Gyan, like it's like accumulated knowledge, right? It's the total sum total. But the thing is, when we are in this life, we do not get all the Sanchit Karma. We get a part of that, which is known as a Prarabdha
Right.
Karma, basically. So the word Prarabdha literally means, I mean, not
Starting.
literally, but one of the meanings of the
Beginning.
word Prarabdha is, yeah, it is like destined, that which is already given to you. So Prarabdha karma is associated with this body. So within the body there is the mind, and we have the senses, the karmendriyas, gyanendriyas, and within that there is the soul finally. So Prarabdha is like a part of our Sanchit karma, which we are destined to face in this life, depending on when the seeds of karma fructify. Okay, so for example, maybe we have done something, 1,000 lifetimes back, but the seed has fructified now. So now that karma will come and manifest in our life through our prarabdha karma. So now we have to understand what does karma represent in general. So karma, one thing is, yes, as I said, it represents our actions. But when you talk from a reactionary perspective, it also represents it simply represents the situations within our life which is beyond our control, which we cannot change. Okay, so for example, you go outside and you are destined that you will have an accident today. So that is something which nobody can change. Okay, that's the definition of prarabdha. That is like destiny. Because if you say that we can change destiny, this is like contradictory, because then that cannot be destined, right? Destined
Hmm.
means it is
Hmm.
bound to happen. So
Bound to happen.
if you say I have changed my destiny, it is like saying you have changed something which was never destined, right? So then how
Yeah,
do you claim to change something which is destined, right?
which is destined.
Yeah, so that's the destiny paradox. So whenever they ask this question, that can destiny be changed, it's paradoxical, because if
True.
destiny can be changed, then that is not destiny. That is like, something else that you are changing, right? Now, this is what is destiny. These situations in our life, the people within our life, that is what is destined. But then what is free will basically? We will go to astrology later, but free will, to understand it in short, many times people, they think free will is a competitor to destiny. They think, both of them are like fighting. Oh,
Correct.
who will win? Will my free will win or will destiny win? Which is more
Hmm.
powerful? So there comes the element of change. So some people say that, oh, free will is so powerful that you can change it, right? So as they say, there are two schools of thought. One school of thought says, oh, destiny is everything. You can't do anything. You can't even drink a glass of water without that
Yeah.
being destined in your life. And the other, that is bit more that traditional school of thought. In India, whenever something happens, they say, oh, जो है भाग्य में होगा ही,
हाँ होगा ऐसे
जो है
जियो.
लिखा, हाँ, जो लिखा है उसको कोई बदल नहीं सकता है. Okay.
Correct.
That is one school of thought, and the other school of thought is this, the modern life coaches who say, don't worry, you can change anything, you can do it, कर सकते हो, कर लो दुनिया मुट्ठी में, everything is in under your
Yeah, of
control,
course.
right?
Yeah.
So they totally deride destiny. They say there is nothing like destiny, everything is under your control. It's like तुम्हारे मुट्ठी
Hmm.
में है, जिस
Hmm.
जो करना चाहो कर सकते हो, right? So this is like, these are the two extreme schools of thought
Extremists.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Vedic culture tells us that, actually both the things are there simultaneously. So
Wow.
then comes the question of what is free will? Is it like a competitor to our destiny? Is free will the effort that we need to change destiny? Is that free will? Well, actually not. Free will has nothing to do with destiny actually. Free will is basically the response that we give to our existing destiny, which is destined and fixed. Okay. So whenever we say that, uh, who is more important, free will is more important or destiny is more important? Well, both are equally important, because when we say destiny is something which has already happened and now the reaction is coming. It's like in front of you, you can't stop it. But how you use your free will decide your further destiny. Free will is basically the creator of destiny, in short. So currently we may
Wow.
have a particular destiny, but why do we have that destiny? Because in our past we have used or misused our free will in a particular way,
Free will in a
right?
particular way.
So
And then now you have the choice to see and respond in a manner that you would change it or not change
yes,
it.
yes, and that's very interesting. That is where human life comes in. Because the scriptures say that the animal bodies, there is not any karma involved there. Karma involved means there is karma, but there is no free will. Okay. Animals are driven primarily by their instincts. Okay. So anytime when somebody behaves very rashly, then we say, oh, you are behaving like animals, this
Animals.
is animalistic, right? So what does it mean? It means that the person's instincts is so powerful that his or her intelligence is not able to determine if that is the right course of action, right? If somebody becomes angry, he takes something and just wipes somebody out. So then we say, oh, this person is very animalistic, which means he cannot control his instincts, right? Like we have the six anarthas, like lust,
Correct.
anger, greed, envy, pride, illusion. So whenever these anarthas come up in the surface, then if we cannot control ourselves, then we are labeled as animalistic, right? So therefore we have to very crucially understand that free will is not a competitor of destiny. Neither is it trying to make destiny more or less powerful. No, it has nothing to do with that. But what is important is, the more you use your free will properly now, the better your destiny will be in the future, and the better it will help you to use your free will better further in the future. And the and and when you use your free will in a bad way currently, then in the future it becomes even more difficult to use it in a good way, right?
True.
Like I did my engineering in Chennai, SRM University. So many of my friends, they're in engineering first year in year 2010. They were very nice, coming from very nice families. Some of them coming from very reputed, prestigious, high caste Brahmin families. Some of them are Gujaratis, very rich. Like there are a lot of money, and they were like, and some of them are Punjabis, very flamboyant always. But what I saw was that eventually, almost out of 10, 9 of them, they fell prey to smoking and drinking, right? And it's been 10 years, more than, it's like 12 years now. Even now, whenever I talk to them, they still tell me कि वो जो तब आदत लग गया ना अभी तक नहीं गया है.
True.
So what happened was, uh, till the time they were with their parents, they were under some kind of discipline, restriction, and
Right.
control. But then as soon as they went out, it's like now they have a lot of freedom, right? Freedom means you have a lot of free will now. What do you wish to do? So
Mm.
then what happened is they did not make the best decision, right? Because out of peer
True.
pressure, they said, oh, if I don't drink, then I will become inferior in the group, right? So to prove that I am also like him, I must drink. It's like,
Drink. Correct.
social or peer pressure, right?
True.
And many of my friends, they were vegetarians and they started eating non-veg after coming to the engineering college, right? Yeah, anyways, so, and some of them maintained their beliefs and their practices which they did. Like one of my friend, he was from Rajasthan. He always used to chant the Hanuman Chalisa in the morning.
Mm.
And even till my third year, fourth year of my engineering, whenever I used to go to his hostel room, he would always chant it. It's like regular he would used to do. And he would meditate, and he would say, I have not taken alcohol, I'll not. So now what happened? He got these allurements, right? Like everybody else. But
Correct.
he made a conscious decision using his free will.
Correct.
Now, his destiny is that he will meet such people, right? Who will
Correct.
allure him, hey, le, sab le raha hai, tu bhi le le, this kind of behavior, right? But then he has the free will. The free will is a choice, basically. Will I
Correct.
indulge in that or will I not indulge in that, right?
True.
So if you indulge in that, uh, then what happens next time? Next, suppose you take alcohol the first time. The second time, you still have free will, right? Will I take it this time? But now there's a problem. Whenever you do any action, is it either it's good or it is bad? Either ways, the scriptures say there is the samskara is formed within our subconscious mind. Okay, samskara means the impressions of our actions. So these impressions are very powerful, and the next time we either choose to do the same activity or not do that, the samskara will push us to do the same activity. Okay, so for example, if a person has done a lot of good activities, then normally the samskaras are very good. So if the next time he gets a chance, he will again end up doing something. Okay. And it's the same thing with somebody who has done something wrong. Then the
Mm.
samskara is that, okay, now again you do that wrong, right? That is why, and then gradually people get into addiction, right? Because the more they misuse their free will, the lesser it becomes possible for them to say no the next time, right? And so this is a very clear example of destiny and free will, that you may have, like, two people may have the same destiny, right? That, okay, I am getting some allurements, to indulge in some quick pleasure, basically. But will I indulge in it, right? Will I indulge, yes or no? Now that decision which they make will create a further destiny.
Correct.
So that is how destiny is created. Destiny is basically the choices that you make when you have free will.
Wow.
It's
So
just that
beautiful.
destiny. So
So beautiful.
in my opinion, people should not see free will as a competitor to their destiny.
Correct.
In fact, people should see free will as a ability, as a chance to make a right decision in life. Okay,
Mm.
therefore it's very important that we have some good awareness in our life. We are like having high vibration, we do some spiritual practices, we have some mind control, some meditation, by which we can always make the right choices. If not always, then most of the times,
Most of
right?
the time, true.
Yeah. Or at least we can, if not we make right choices, at least we can stay away from making the wrong choices, right? That is
Correct.
equally important. So this can be in any sphere of life, right? So I think, yeah, I hope that explains to you what is, destiny, what is free will.
Super. Sounds good. My question to you would be that, when we are talking about the choices that we are making, right? Uh, at the same time, we would have our pitru, right? They are energies coming to us, and how we behave today will impact obviously our children in the
Yes.
future, and the way they think, the choices they make, it's also passed down through the uh, whether we call it collective consciousness or we speak
Yeah.
about uh, the memes. If you're talking in terms of scientific language, the memes are, your information, your mental, genetic, societal information, which is passed from generation to generation. Now, if this collective consciousness, how would it impact that individual?
Principle is very clear that our mind is mostly giving us negative thoughts. If you see, I mean, it doesn't matter whichever country you belong to, you are rich, you are poor, you are good looking, you think you are not good looking, you are intelligent, you are smart, you are confident, you are less confident, doesn't matter. You ask any person in this world, you just sit with yourself, just think of something random. What will happen? After 5 minutes, you will become unhappy. Because what happens is your mind will always tell you the limitations that you have in this world, right? The mind will tell you, oh, look, I have this much bank balance. He has more than me, Oh, look, oh, I look like this, he or she looks better than me. They have, 3 kids. I have only 1 kid. They are married. I am not married. This is so basically what the mind does is the mind will always show you something which you don't have. Okay. And the mind will always downplay the good, and it will always exaggerate the negativity, right?
True.
It will always happen. It doesn't matter you are a millionaire, billionaire, or you are a beggar, you are a middle class, it doesn't matter, it always
Doesn't
happens.
matter.
So therefore, in the Vedic tradition, it is always very much emphasized that you do not stay idle with your mind, because if you just stay with your mind, like, just with yourself, all by yourself, I'm alone, then the mind will drag you towards negativity. So instead, what you should do is you should stay with people who are spiritually elevated, who are spiritually very committed, spiritually disciplined, so
Mm,
they can actually keep our mind in check, like it can keep our mind in control. And then what happens is we get a chance to not give into this negativity of our mind, which is always,
mm,
hammering us by showing us our weaknesses, our shortcomings, the things which
true.
others have, which we don't have, right?
True.
So and then what happens, people who are very spiritually elevated and spiritually committed, and spiritually realized, not just like in knowledge, when we stay with them, staying doesn't mean like you just keep hovering around them. Oh, I am staying with this person, and it doesn't mean that.
Correct.
Staying with somebody, with spiritually elevated people, means actually hearing from them, right? So as we have in our Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the pinnacle of all the Vedic literatures written by Maharishi Vyas, he says there that uh, the only he very explicitly mentions the importance of associating with spiritually elevated people, basically, because by their association we get inner strength and inner power to say no to the pulls of our mind. Basically, the mind is always pulling us to do
True.
something negative. The mind is pulling us. The mind will pull you to one of the 6 areas. It's, lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, and illusion. So either your mind will tell you, oh, how beautiful that person is, I wish I could enjoy with that person. Or, oh, he said like this, I'm angry. Or I'm envious, jealous, uska hai mera nahi hai dekho. So either one of these six emotions the mind will always drag you down to that because the mind is like a software which is destined rather to give us suffering to this in this material world,
True.
as Lord Krishna says in the Gita, that the material world is a place of misery. Dukhalayam ashashvatam, he says, right? So therefore, the more you stay with your mind and with your desires, with your own fancies, with your own self, the more you stay with yourself, the more you'll be frustrated in life. The more you will exaggerate things, the more you will do politics. Because who does politics? One who is constantly insecure, right? Somebody is going to pull me down, so I need to, pull them down so that I can remain where I am, right? So, in short, the answer is no matter whoever we are, we may be good, we may be very good, we may be not so nice, we may be the worst person to have ever lived. And in the scriptures, we always have these examples, right? Classic examples. One of the best examples to illustrate this point is the great Valmiki Muni, who is the author of the Ramayana, right? So Valmiki, he was not originally Valmiki.
Thief.
His name was, Valyarola. That was his
Correct.
name.
He was a thief.
Yeah, he was like, there was no sin which he had not committed. You consider from religious perspective, you consider from ethical, moral, economical, humanitarian, whatever, modern, traditional, any Indian penal code, constitution, whatever you take, Gita, Quran, anything you take, any part of the world, he was the most wretched person to have ever lived. He would kill, he would loot, he would do whatever it takes, right? And then one day, this great personality called Narad Muni, he came to him and said
I love
that,
him.
yeah, he said, my dear sir, you are doing all this, but do you know the results? He said, but I'm not doing for myself. I'm doing for my mother, father, my wife, children, because I have to feed them. I will kill these animals and go and feed them. And then he said, okay, well, then why not you go and ask them? Will they take a part of your sinful karma that you are accumulating by doing all this? He said, definitely they will take. Why they will not take? I'm doing for them only. And then he goes to his wife and his, son, daughter, mother, father, uncle, auntie, and asks, hey, will you take a part of my sins? And everybody's like, no, that is your karma. Why will we take? Why should we suffer for your karma? And then he was like, my God, this whole life I have given for these people, this bunch of people. Din Raat, I have day and night, I'm killing animals to feed you guys. And then you will not take a part of my sins. That means to feed you, I have to take all the burden of the sins. So then Narad Muni told him, okay, then stop doing this, stop committing sins, right? And you start chanting the name of Ram. Yes. But he was so sinful that he could not chant the word. The name Ram did not come out from his mouth. He could not speak. So then Narad Muni said, you chant the reverse. You chant Mara, right? So he started chanting Mara, 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 like this. He chanted and then eventually started chanting the name of Ram.
How-
Eventually.
that was
And
used in the movie, no? That was also used in this movie, when Amir Khan is taking the stick and he's crossing the
okay. Yeah, yeah.
mara
Some
mara
movie
mara
it
mara
was.
mara 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 mara.
Yeah. So basically it is like how much ever degraded we are, or we are, we feel that we are not at the best of our life. If we can somehow find some personalities who can elevate us through their instructions, through their association, through their words, uh, then we can definitely transcend the modes of material nature, as Krishna says, the
Yeah.
Rajogun, Tamogun, and Sattvagun, these three modes actually. So therefore, uh, that is the answer. That if you want to stay above the tormentations of your mind, you will have to be in contact with spiritual personalities. Either you do that physically, or you read the ancient epics, like the Ramayana, Mahabharata,
True.
or You read the Bhagavad Gita or you read the Bible, you read these epics, the Quran, the Torah, Dharmapada, all these divine literatures. By that, you will get inspiration. And along with that, you should also try to find some spiritual community with whom you can associate
Right.
closely every week, once in a week in the weekends, and you can go and meet the people and you can share some spiritual knowledge with them rather than discussing about, cricketers, film
True.
stars, politics, and all this, right?
True.
So that, and of course, during the day, in the morning, we include some spiritual practices into our life, like doing meditation, then mantras, and chanting these mantras or listening to some stotrams and reading these epics for 30 minutes every day. And we include some pranayam, some exercise, some breathing exercises. We do some kumbhak sometimes. So, and we maintain a healthy, decent lifestyle.
True. True. Okay. So tell me one thing. Where, only I've somebody told me that I could see spirits because I was from Rakshas Gan. So is that true? Just because I'm from the Rakshas community that I can see spirits? Would that
Uh,
be the case, or it would be like many people? Because I'm training people to see spirit guides and their angels and all of that. So then it comes. Then I think that okay, if I'm training them to do this, are they all from Rakshas Gan who are coming to me?
Challenges of astrology is to how can you merge all the individual things that you see in a horoscope with the flow of the horoscope, like where all the things are flowing together. It's like what's the end result finally. So many times you must have heard of this word, manglik dosh.
Mm-hmm.
It's very famous in the
Yeah, yeah.
astrology
They told me
market.
also that. And then somebody
Okay.
told me I don't have it. Then somebody told me I have it. So I got confused utterly and I said, anyways, I'm praying to Lord Ganesha every day. So I don't know any Mangal right now.
Yeah, so the thing is, in astrology is a very intricate science, and these kind of things, like as you said, somebody told you that you are from Rakshas Gan, that is why you are, dealing with all this, spirits and all this. This is said by those category of people who have very superficial knowledge of astrology. It doesn't matter how many years they have studied. As one of my Shiksha gurus, he used to say, like, some people have just seen years, but they don't become senior.
True.
So they have seen, like, 10 years, 20 years, but they are still
Yeah,
not
yeah.
senior. They are still juniors, right?
Yes.
So this happens because we have not done a comprehensive analysis, and or rather, maybe we don't know even how to do a comprehensive analysis, and we catch hold of some buzzwords within the astrology domain. So one is like Mangal Dosh, one is Gun Milan, one is Rakshas Gan. The other one, of course, the most infamous Sade Sati.
Oh, yeah,
Or
yeah.
if all of these fail, then Rahu Ketu is always there, right? You can
One
always blame
astrology
it.
auntie, so she fainted because I had a Mahadasha of Shani. So she
Oh,
saw me and she said, she started shivering. And I said, why are you shivering? She's saying, because you have got Shani Mahadasha. You have Shani Mahadasha. I said, okay. Like, is there supposed to be, I'm going to be scared in that Dasha? I should be scared of something. So
yeah.
she
I
was wondering that.
mean, yeah, yeah. It's very sad, actually. People, they ask me sometimes, when they come to me for consultation, they say, "Sir, my Saturn is in the first house. I've heard it's terrible in YouTube." Then next day, another person comes, his Saturn is in second house. He says, "Sir,
That is
Saturn
also
is so
terrible.
terrible in the second house."
Poor Saturn.
And then like that, it reaches all the 12 houses. Then, the 12th day, the 12th person comes and says, "Sir, Saturn is in my 12th house." No wonder why I have insomnia, right? And then I'm like, then I ask them, so according to you, which is the best house for Saturn, right? I mean, it will never happen like this, because
Exactly.
In any planet, when it is any planet which is sitting in a particular house, it will, that's like a principle of astrology, it will help you in some areas of life, and it will
True.
create some problem in some other areas of life. Okay.
That is how life is, no, Babajit.
Yeah.
If one area of your life is imbalanced, there will be one aspect of your life which will always be working.
Yeah, in fact, like we have the 10th house in astrology, right? Everybody is asking, oh, I want to, awaken my 10th house, I want to make it more stronger. I want to, because it's the house of name fame, everybody likes name fame these days. People like name fame more than money. You ask them, will you need $1 million in your bank account, but nobody comes to know about it. Only you know it. At max, your
Uh,
mother knows about it. Nobody knows about it.
True.
But then you have, on the other side, you don't have any money, but you will have, maybe 10,000 followers, in YouTube or Instagram, but you have no bank account. You have
That's it.
absolutely nothing. You are just struggling, and most of the people, they will end up selecting the second option, because yes, I'm famous ultimately, right? People know that I
Uh,
exist, hum bhi koi hai, janenge log.
True.
So, then I tell them that, but do you know this 10th house is the worst house, one of the worst houses for your married life. Because if a planet
Ask
is in
me.
your 10th
Ask me.
house, then if it activates, then your married life can go for a toss,
Oh,
because
it is.
you are never in the home, you're always in the office, right? So, and if you see most of the people, not everybody, but most of the people, like especially 10th house is the most important house for politicians. Most of the politicians, the famous ones, the really famous ones, they either have had very bad marriages, or they have never married, or they have, got divorced, something like this, right? Like we have Rahul Gandhiji's example. He's not married.
It's
We
a
have
very
Narendra
bad
Modi's
example.
we have Narendra Modi's example,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Then yeah, like so many we have, right? Mahatma Gandhi also, and so many. I mean, Donald Trump is also there. Like he has had divorces, right? So now that's the thing. So this is similar to suggesting gemstones also. It's the same as you said. You have Rakshas Gan, so you will do this. So many people say, oh, your Janma Nakshatra, which is the
Yeah.
nakshatra where
That
your
much I
moon,
understand.
yeah, where your moon is sitting. So
Correct.
if you have your moon in this nakshatra, you should go and wear this gemstone. They say like that. Okay.
Correct. Hmm.
But then the problem is there are 27 nakshatras, and if you take 7 billion people and you divide it by 27, there are like a lot of zeros in that number, right?
Totally.
So every category, those million or 1,000 million people, they will just go and wear that particular gemstone, and their life will change, right? So actually, this doesn't work. This does not work in any principle of astrology. For any event of life, it doesn't work. That you see one thing and you forget everything
Forget
else, right?
everything else. Right.
So you have to see which, what is your ascendant, what is your sun sign, what is your moon sign. You have to see where is your ascendant lord, where is your Atma Karaka, where is your fifth lord, ninth lord. All these things you have to see. When you
True.
see all this, then you will get an idea of where the chart is flowing, what is the basic nature of this person.
Right.
Then you know, because if a person has Rakshas Gan, for example, let me tell you, this Rakshas Gan can manifest in various ways, right? This
Wow.
Rakshas
Okay.
Gan can manifest in, like, I can tell you at least 10 ways. There can be 1,000 ways by which this can manifest. This can manifest as, somebody like Adolf Hitler, for example, extreme anger and extreme intolerance, right? This can
Wow.
manifest like that. This could also manifest for an army officer who is very, very, very strict. Once he has said something, and then it's like it has to be done, or else you are dead, basically. But that could be for good reasons also. This could also be present in a extraordinary chef, because a chef is also dealing with fire, right?
Correct.
Yeah, what is the meaning of the word Rakshas? Rakshas means when you see them, you get a feeling of calling to God. You want your Raksha, basically. You say, Bhagwan Raksha kar
Oh,
meri.
I thought it was more of the Rakshas.
Yeah, I mean the word Rakshas means
Ah, correct, correct. When you
one
cite
whose
them, you want
sight
to call God.
remember makes you remember God.
Then I'm happy. At least with looking at me, people will call God.
So even today, even now around you, you know, whenever you see somebody and you feel, oh my God, whom did I see? You know, my life is going to end today. So that person may not be a Rakshas, but for you, that person is like a Rakshas, right? Because whenever you are seeing him or her, you are kind of remembering God. You are calling out
Hmm.
God. Oh God, God, please come and protect me. You know, my life is in danger, basically. So that is actually the meaning of the word Rakshas. So, but Rakshas, now when you, why did I say chef? Because you know, when you see fire, what happens?
Yeah, you
When
get
fire is small, you know, you are like, oh, I can, you know, touch this, you know, in that puja arti which you
it.
do. But imagine your whole house is blazing. What will happen?
Oh my God.
You will shout, oh God, please protect me, right? So fire is also like Rakshas sometimes, right? Or you say water, even a tsunami, it's like Rakshas. When you see a tsunami is
Wow.
coming and you know you can't run.
Yes.
I mean, you will call out to God, right? Or you know, when somebody is about to die, you pray to God, oh please don't kill him, God, please let him stay, him or her, you know, this person means everything to me. I will die without this person. Then that is also like death for you. So you are remembering God, you know. So any extreme fearful situation is like Rakshas. Okay. So people who have Rakshas gun can be very extreme sometimes, because anything extreme can sometimes, you know, make you remember God, you know, even if it is good or bad sometimes. So now, but then what this will be? This will be extreme bad or extreme in what area, right?
That,
So that
that
depends on the
depends.
horoscope. You have to see the horoscope. So because life would be very easy, every walking person
Yeah.
would be an astrologer if just
So,
by having a
oh
Rakshas girl you
yeah.
could say, like for example, Mangal dosh is there, right? So if
Yeah.
your Mars is placed in first house, second house, fourth house, seventh house, eighth house, you know, or 12th house. So
12th
if you
house.
see,
Yeah.
there are six houses which are covered, right? And there are only 12 houses in astrology. So as per this definition, half of the people of the world are Manglik, basically, right? So then there is this comedy about Mangal Dosh, that a Manglik should only marry another Manglik. So that
Yeah.
50% will marry between each other.
Comedy.
What about the rest? No.
They will not marry at all. They will search.
And they're like, oh my God, we are messed up. You know, we are done for this life. Next life, we have to be born as a Manglik, you know, because then we
That
at
is,
least have.
that's like a very in thing to be born as a manglik.
Yeah, because you know, you must marry another Manglik. So there's so many Mangliks roaming
Yeah.
out who will somehow find a match, right? And they have a
Yeah.
good reasons also. Oh my God, you are Manglik, you know, you must marry me. You know, otherwise your, if you marry a non-Manglik, your spouse will die.
Oh
So
my
anyway,
yes.
so the thing is, then there is this, you know, Venus. Venus is the planet of, you know, love, romance, and marriage and all
Yeah.
this, right? So now people, if their Venus is badly placed, they will say, oh, मेरा divorce हो जाएगा, I will never get married, I will stay single, or my partner will cheat on me, or I will not be able to marry the one I love, the one who loves me, I will not like them. All these possibilities, basically. So all of these possibilities can happen, but it depends on what is going on in your horoscope, right?
Correct. You can't just base, like just looking at an individual, you can't just say कि हाँ इसके life में यही problem होगा. The person
Ha.
is a cumulative of so many things, right? Like in
Yes.
psychology, they say that an individual, you just cannot say that this person is a schizophrenic or this person is this thing just by looking at that person. There is so much of depth to an
Yes.
individual.
Yeah, and for example, like they will say that, okay, if you have this placement, then this will happen, right? Now if you go to the classics, like we have Brihat Parashar Hora Shastra, which was written by Parashar Muni, which is like, you know, the foundational book of astrology, right? So in that, Parashar Muni writes so many things. Parashar Muni says, if this planet is in this house, the person will have a lot of elephants, the
Wow, how
person will
to?
have a lot of chariots. And then you are wondering, my God, who is roaming around with elephants these days?
Yeah, in today's same time to nahi. Mahabharata and that time probably they had chariots and
Yeah,
kings,
they used to give, like when kings, you would, you know, have these, you know, gifts and all this. They would say, I donate 1,000 elephants with
elephants,
gold, gold plated, you know, all this sone ka
all the
order used to get.
ornaments.
Yeah, they would donate chariots, they would give cows, they would do this. But then what about today? You
Today,
know, and somebody,
today
it is
planes,
yeah, you might have this, big plane or private jet or something like
private
that,
jet,
right? Or you
or
might have a big,
yachts.
yeah, you might have a big car which looks like an elephant, right? So elephant means one who occupies a lot of space, basically, right? That is what is an elephant. Like,
Wow.
there is another placement which says, if you have this placement, you will be killed by a vulture, basically, right? So, but then if you think, have you heard that, some vultures come and ripped off a person, No, not necessarily, but if you go into the classics, you will see the word vulture, there are a lot of meanings, right? Like we say somebody is a asura, basically. Asura does not mean
Hmm.
one who has horns and teeth are
Correct.
bulging out and long hair. That's not asura, basically. That's more of a rakshas. But asura can be a very handsome looking gentleman or a very
Wow.
beautiful looking lady also, right? Like Surpanakha, for example, she wanted to seduce Lord Ram and Lakshman, so she took
Yeah.
a very beautiful form, right? So,
True.
but then she was a asur, basically,
Asur.
asur
Correct.
or asuri, whoever. So the thing is, another context to astrology is Deshkal Patra, time, place, circumstances. So you have to be aware. Like Parashar Muni says that if a person has this planet, then he has, Bahustri Yoga. Bahustri Yoga means he will have multiple women, right? So then there was one person, a man who had this yoga, and he came to me and he said, oh, actually, my married life is not that great, so I'm thinking to get divorced and again remarried because I anyways have Bahustri Yoga. If it is already there in my destiny, who am I to change it? God
Change
is
it.
all powerful. How
He's
can I
told me
challenge
he'll
the
have so
authority
many
of
women.
God?
So I'll go and get.
I said, yes, you may do that. But then the problem with this is in your chart, it is indicated that either you are single or you are married or you marry 10 women simultaneously, or you divorce 9 ladies and you marry the 10. You will always have some kind of trouble with women, basically, right? So now do you want, now are you happy that you have, Bahustri Yoga? He's like, oh, maybe not, right? So the thing is, you have to interpret it in today's context and in a place where a person is born, right?
True.
What kind of culture the person is in,
True.
what kind of upbringing the person has had.
Wow. Yeah.
Those things really impact the final conclusion, and that is why I always tell people, never ever, if you cannot, then it's okay, but 99% you should avoid doing, email consultations with astrologers. Just avoid doing that, asking which year I will get married, and the astrologer gives you three fancy numbers, right?
True.
23rd year or 32nd year or 43rd year, whatever, some fancy
Correct.
numbers.
Some
and
fancy number.
and then if it happens, you will say, oh, this astrologer is like God. And if it doesn't, you will go and give bad reviews in websites, right? This is all
True.
you will do. So try your best to always do a face-to-face or one-to-one live consultation,
Yeah.
because
I'll put your this thing also here and I'll put it on my groups also. That's okay, na, for your
sure,
consulting.
sure. And therefore I always tell people that even when I do some any consultation, the first thing I tell people is, yes sir, please tell me about yourself.
Wow.
And there's one person who said, oh sir, but I thought you will tell me about me myself, right? Because you are the astrologer, right? That is what I came for, right? I came to you for hearing from you about me, basically. That is why I came. I said,
Wow.
see, the horoscope is there, and we do all the analysis and all this, but ultimately the full manifestation of the horoscope is you, the person, right? It is
True.
not some dead entity which is in the paper or in the software in the laptop screen. It's not like that. You are a living being, you have chetna, you have consciousness, right? You
Yes.
are this embodiment of all these placements that I see in front of me. So if you tell me how are you, what, how your life has been, so then I can exactly tune into what the horoscope is telling me, right?
Mm.
Because for example, if a like in India we have, MLA, MP, minister, all this, right? If a random person comes to you and asks, sir, please tell me, will this person become the prime minister of a country, right? And I see how his horoscope is, how much name fame he will have. Then maybe I may say, oh, he has a lot of name fame, maybe he will become, right? But
Hmm.
then he may not become the prime minister. He may win and become the MLA of a state. That is also like having a lot
Correct.
of name fame, right?
Correct.
He may become the MP of a particular constituency, or he may become minister.
True.
But now if I already know that this person is an MLA and he's planning to go into MP election, then maybe I can say, oh yeah, he's going to become an MP, right? And if he's already an MP and somebody asks me, will he become a cabinet minister this time, and if I see his time period, his dasha is good, then maybe
Right.
yes, he will become. Right? But that I cannot see from the horoscope. The horoscope will not tell me this is the chart of a male, female, he's an engineer, or he's a,
Correct.
I mean, and nowadays so many things are coming up, like,
Yeah.
aqua driving, like, pilot. Parashar Muni does not say if he has this placement here, he will fly planes. Parashara does not say that.
True.
So how do you decipher? So
Decipher.
you have to know the basics,
And then you
and
go
you,
upgrade during the current time.
yeah, you have to do that. So if any astrologer says, oh, I have read the classics, I know whatever Parashara said, that is all in all, and I will only say that, okay, so you have sun in 10th house, you will be favored by the king. The king will honor you basically, right? And then you are wondering, where's the king? There's no king these days, right? So then you're like, so, but nobody honored me. No, but maybe you became an IAS officer, right? That's
Correct.
like an honor from the government, basically. That's
Correct.
like the king, right?
But I always used to think that the sun is the father, right?
Yeah, again, this is another thing in itself. Every planet represents some aspect, some impersonal and some personal aspect, both
Hmm.
simultaneously.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Like sun represents the father, it does not literally represent the father. Okay,
Wow. Okay.
it represents those traits which a father is supposed to instill
Wow.
inside you. Supposed to.
Amazing. Amazing.
Okay. That is why they say son is the karaka of a father. So for example, suppose somebody has a bad son, sometimes it happens that their father has, premature death, or their father dies when they are very young, or even when they are born. Now how that happens is basically, then what happens, they will not have a fatherly figure, right? So those
Hmm.
traits which their father was supposed to instill in their life, that will be somehow missing, right? Unless there are other like fatherly figures in their life, right?
Hmm.
But that does not literally represent the father, or
Father. Wow.
or they say moon is the mother. No, moon is not the mother. Moon is your own mind, your own emotions, right?
Correct.
And the mother is the one who is, like supposed to instill, emotions, love and care and
Yeah.
comfort and mental happiness in you, basically, from the time you're a child. And if that is why in like psychology or psychiatry, what is psychology, what is psychiatry? Study of the moon, basically, right?
Wow.
Nothing more than that. Then if you don't get attention, if you don't get love, then what happens?
What
you
happens?
you end up becoming a narcissist when you grow up, right? You are either always trying to pull people down because you feel, I have to lift up myself, or
True.
or you have got so much attention and you have got so much pampering that you always pull down others, you insult others, you denigrate
Yeah.
others, you downgrade others, you pull down, you insult them all the time, right? You feel you are the only center of the universe, right?
True.
So that is why they say the moon is the most important planet in Vedic astrology, because if you are not happy at an emotional level, it doesn't matter what you have in this world, you will always remain miserable and unhappy. It doesn't matter how great your spouse is, or how great your bank account is. It just
Correct.
simply doesn't matter.
True.
You will always remain unhappy, right?
True.
So that is why they say the moon is very important, and that is why they say wherever moon is placed, that is your janma nakshatra, and that is very important. So yeah, so as I said, living and non-living. So the non-living things are supposed to be instilled by that living personality. And when there is a problem in that particular planet, it could mean one of the two things. Either there is some problem with that personality, like, moon is the mother, so bad moon means the mother is not good basically. Or it could also mean, depending on the chart, that the mother is very good, but somehow she is not able to transfer that love to you, right?
Oh,
For some reason or the other. Some reason, it could be any reason.
true,
A
any
thousand
reason.
reasons could be there, right? That's why I get people who tell me, oh, my husband is an amazing person, my wife is very good, my mother is very good, my son is very good, but somehow we have a terrible relationship. Right? Why is that? That's also like a part of your karma, right? You have some good person, but then somehow your dynamics has suffered always, right?
Good.
So yeah, that's how we find it and see it from the horoscope basically.
My question is that the 12th house is of moksha, right? Liberation. And I've always wondered that, if you have a particular planet in that, what do you need to liberate? What do you need to learn? Because it's so important for people to know what do you learn from that 12th house, that planet. And uh, once you learn that lesson, are you going to be liberated, or do you attain a certain kind of siddhi? Do you attain a certain kind of mastery over yourself?
So basically, the thing is, whenever you say 12th house, every house is 12th from some house. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So when you say, so basically there are 12th houses in astrology. So when we say 12th house, like generally people say, oh, I have Venus in 12th house. What does it mean? It means they have Venus in 12th house from the first house. 12th house from the ascendant. They have Venus there. Now from the 12th house, there is also another 12th house, which is the 11th house, right? Which is, so 12th house is loss. So the loss of loss, which is your profit basically. That's why 11th house is the house of profits, fulfillment of
Wow.
desires, gains and all this, right? So every house has a 12th house, right? And every house is also 12th from another house, right? So every house has the dynamics of all the 12 houses, because every house is fourth from some house, every house is fifth from some house, every house is ninth from some house, right? But in general, if you talk of the 12th house, it is a very big misconception that it's the house of moksha basically.
Okay.
It is actually not the house of moksha, it is the house of liberation basically. Now the word liberation and moksha are sometimes used interchangeably, right?
Correct.
So 12th house is primarily the house of mukti basically, right? It's not the house of moksha. So mukti is basically like, if somebody, like very graphic example, if somebody has the lord of the 7th house in the 12th house, then it shows you will have liberation from marriage, right?
So
So
you,
now what
so
does it
if you
mean?
say Mars in the 12th house, a
Yeah,
debilitated Mars.
yeah, it could be any planet, but I'm saying if it is the ruler of your 7th house, right? So in astrology, every house has a planetary ruler, right? So the 7th house is the house of marriage, and if the ruler of the 7th house, say any planet, sun, moon, Mars, or anybody, is going and sitting in the 12th house
12th
from your
house.
ascendant, then you can say, well, I will have I will get mukti from marriage, right? Now what does this mean? This can mean thousand things.
Thousands
if
of things.
if brahmacharya is indicated in your chart, you will very happily live in a temple like a monk, and you will have nothing to do with the opposite sex, family and all.
Correct.
You'll be very happily doing spiritual practices there. But suppose now you are not in the temple, you are not a monk, you are married, right?
Hmm.
Now this can mean many things. This can mean that your spouse may die way earlier than you, right? So you can say, oh, now I am liberated from my spouse, right? Or if the horoscope is indicating depression, then this death of your spouse can end up giving a lot of depression, a lot of trauma and all this, right? So just because it is liberating you, it doesn't mean it is making you happy, right? Liberating means
Hmm.
your the responsibilities that you have related to that house or that planet is not there anymore, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but then the problem is, if that is something you need, then that can wreak havoc in your life, right? If your ninth lord is in a 12th house, like ninth
Who's
lord is the father, right? So
okay?
i
Who's the
i have
ninth
the,
house? Ninth house
yeah,
is what? Which planet is that in the 12th house?
yeah, the ruler of the ninth house is
Is
sitting in the 12th
okay.
house. So
I
ninth
don't
house,
see that.
yeah, the ruler of the ninth house can show your father, or again, not father literally, but fatherly
Father
personality.
figure.
Now you say, oh, very good. I don't have any, I'm liberated from my fatherly, duties, responsibilities. But that may also mean you don't have any father, right? But
Oh,
now let's assume that your father was very abusive, right? He was very abusive. Maybe, let's assume. Well, then was it a good thing or a bad thing? Well, it still has plus minus, right? So basically, it is impossible to make one statement.
one statement. True. True.
Yeah, so but in essence, you can say if a planet is in the 12th house, the responsibilities that you have related to that planet, you will be liberated from them. But will that make you happy? Will it
Or
make you
correct.
unhappy? Will it make you rich or will it make you poor? Well, that will depend on the horoscope. Where is the 12th
Everything.
lord placed? What is the lord of the 12th house doing? And how good are you with letting go of things, basically? If you are a
Uh,
person who is like, anything happens, anything is gone, somebody has betrayed you, you will say, okay, anyways, mera
oh,
karma tha, usne dhoka de diya gaya wo.
the,
Now my karma is clean, right? So are you that kind of a person, or you are like, अरे उसने धोखा दे दिया, मैं खत्म कर दूंगा
true.
उसको, write a post in Facebook, we'll expose him, like in YouTube you will always find these videos, so and
Yeah.
so exposed, Narendra Modi exposed, Rahul Gandhi
Oh God,
exposed,
yeah, these
everybody.
YouTube videos are like crazy at times.
Yeah, they go on exposing everybody apart
Everybody.
from themselves, right? So apart from themselves, they will expose everybody, right?
True.
So if you are that kind of a person, then having a very strong 12th house can wreak havoc in your life. But if you are a
Wow.
very free person, 12th house is also 12th house is also jail and also freedom. How can it be
Hmm.
jail and freedom simultaneously?
Dichotomy.
Yeah, I
Duality.
mean, how is it possible? That is why the 12th sign is Pisces, it's a dual sign. Because if you lose something, you can either become free, like that is gone. Now I'm peaceful. Or you may be lamenting 24 hours. Arey, wo gaya, 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 gone, 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 right? So then you are in jail, basically.
Wow, how beautiful.
So therefore, every house, and within that also, is it a loss? What kind of a loss is it? Is it only mundane materialistic loss, or is it at an emotional level? Or is it,
Hmm.
some spiritual loss in the sense you had a guru, he passed away now, or you had a guru mata, she's not there, she has left this world, then does it bring you into depression? What happens, so it's a very intricate analysis. So ultimately it depends on uh, what is good for you. It just depends on that. So if what is good for you is indicated by that planet in the 12th house, then no problem.
Wow. That means so many things that we can work upon ourselves to change our mindset, to change our thought process, and finally to conclude, um, when you look at a horoscope, it is also the plan that you have created, and it's still in your hands to change that with your own and liberate yourself or not liberate yourself through your own
Yeah, as there was
responses.
a famous therapist, I remember seeing her video long, many years back. So she said, half of my time during giving therapy and consulting people is to bring people to this point that ultimately you are responsible.
That's Virginia Satir, by the way.
Okay.
She was amazing. In
Yeah,
neuro
because
linguistic programming, they use Virginia Satir technique, the Satir techniques.
okay, because people, they Nowadays they just want pleasure, they don't want responsibility.
Yeah.
And the tendency of pleasure without responsibility is it makes your mind very disturbed.
True.
That is why the house, which is the eighth house in astrology, it is the house of addictions. It is also the house of gambling. It is the house of extramarital affair. It's the house of death. It's the house of murder. It's everything, right? That's the eighth house. It's the graveyard, basically. So how is it possible that a house which represents addiction also represents extramarital affairs? Because both are very similar. It's like giving into temptation, right? That is why it is also the house of addictions. It is also the house of extramarital affair, because
Wow.
both the things are making you fall prey to a temptation, basically, right?
Temptation. Correct.
Yeah. So therefore, and that makes the mind very disturbed, because eighth house is also the house of depression. Because every time you are used to getting quick pleasures, what happens? You lose all determination to do anything good in life, right?
True.
Anytime you get like windfall of money, imagine 10 years of your life, you are very disciplined, going to the office or your business, you're a very nice person, and suddenly there's some windfall and you get some lottery money. So
Lottery.
if you do not have that necessary mind control and disciplined lifestyle, you will become a beggar within some few days or years. Even
Yeah.
there was this show Kaun Banega Crorepati. I think
Correct.
it's even
Correct.
there now.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
was one person who had earned 5 crore or 7 crore rupees.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's like 1 million or even more in like USD. So that person became again like a normal person within some years. He gave his money here, there, and then
Finish.
it's all finished, basically, right? So if you do not have the right bent of mind, if you do not have discipline, you do not have structure in your mind, in your lifestyle,
Yeah.
then even if you get supernatural things, then also
Yeah.
ultimately either you lose it or you spoil yourself, or you create problems for others also, right?
Channeling is very important. Channeling
Yeah,
of
so
your
whatever you
energy.
have, you should be able to channelize it in the right direction, in a proper way. And then, as they say, you will always make the best use of a bad bargain.
Superb. It was a pleasure, 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 Bhavjeet, speaking to you. So many
Thank you.
myths,
Same.
so many myths were broken. These are the kind of questions that my participants ask me.